The school system was perfectly designed to keep you broke and obedient. You were taught how to be a good employee and follow the rules, but you were never taught the real rules of money that the rich use to build massive wealth.
You see, most teachers in school, they teach subjects they themselves don't practice.
They want obedient workers.
The result is that we are educating people out of their creative capacities.
Because the school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee. They teach people to be poor.
If you do not unlearn everything your teachers told you and take control of your own financial education right now, you will spend your entire life building someone else's empire while your own dreams die.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life.
Robert Kiyosaki, he had two dads. His natural father was the superintendent of the Hawaii school system. He was highly educated, played by all the traditional rules, and he was considered very successful by society. But he always struggled with money and died with very little to leave behind.
Early on in my life, my poor dad, who always said to me, you know, Robert, go to school and so get a high-paying job. And so my poor dad's core value was to be an employee. He wanted job security, promotions, a steady paycheck, and all this.
This was his poor dad. His best friend's father was an 8th grade dropout who never followed the traditional school path. Yet he built a massive real estate empire, owned hotels on the beach, and died incredibly wealthy.
And so it was my rich dad who said to me, he says, you know, Robert, if you really want to be rich, learn to build businesses. It made more sense to him to work hard to build a business, something you owned, and something you could pass on for generation to generation to your kids.
This was his rich dad. Robert realized early on that his highly educated dad was trapped in a system designed to make him a good employee, while his uneducated dad understood how to actually make money work for him.
Whereas my poor dad said, work hard, but my rich dad said, why would you work hard for something you'll never own and you can get fired from right away?
Now you might be saying the rules from 20 years ago, they don't work today. You think the advice is dead because the housing market is too expensive to enter. And while physical real estate prices are crazy, the core principle of buying assets is more alive and true than ever. It's just that the assets have changed. Today, the most powerful assets are digital businesses and personal brands. In fact, a new report shows that over 40% of companies are planning to replace traditional roles with artificial intelligence. You have to adapt before you get replaced. I'm going to break down exactly what a modern asset looks like and how you can acquire your very first one by the end of this week. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in the future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. Savers are still losers in the new economy. In the original Rich Dad Poor Dad book, you learn that saving cash in a bank is a terrible financial idea. That rule is still completely true right now. The Federal Reserve recently held a target range for the federal funds rate at 3.5 to 3.75%. This means that the money sitting in your bank account is losing its buying power every single day. The entire financial system is designed to constantly just print more money. Your hard-earned cash becomes worth less and less the longer you hold on to it. Think about what your money could buy 10 years ago compared to what it can buy today. The price of rent, groceries, gas continues to climb higher and higher. If your money is just sitting in a savings account, you are actively becoming poor. The banks tend to take your deposits, lend them out at much higher interest rates to rich investors, and keep the massive profits for themselves. You get absolute pennies while they build massive empires using your money. The poor dad mindset tells you to work hard and put your money into a savings account for safety, but there is absolutely no safety in a system that is silently stealing your purchasing power, right? Robert Kiyosaki recently warned that hyperinflation is a real threat that could wipe out millions of people financially. He advises looking at safe haven assets like physical gold and silver, but you can do even more than just buying precious metals. You need to focus intensely on building your own personal cash flow engine. Psychology tells you that humans naturally crave safety and comfort. Your human brain is biologically wild to avoid risks at all costs. When the overall economy feels scary, your natural instinct is to hold on to your cash and hide. But playing it safe is actually the most dangerous thing that you can do today. So you have to fight your own biology to win here. You must consciously choose to invest your time and your money into creating entirely new income streams. The people who win this year are the ones who stop hoarding their cash and start buying or building real assets. Now, you might think that you need a massive amount of money to start. You might think that you need to be rich already to play the wealth game. And that is not true. It's a lie told by the traditional school system to keep you trapped as an obedient employee, right? You do not need tens of thousands of dollars or millions to start building your wealth today. You just need to change your perspective on what an asset actually is in the modern world. You have to unlearn the useless lessons that your teachers taught you about money and start looking at the world exactly like a smart investor would. Your house is a liability, but digital real estate is an asset. One of the most controversial lessons from Rich Dad Poor Dad is that your personal house is not an asset. An asset is simply something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So therefore, your house takes money out of your pocket every single month for property taxes, for unexpected repairs, for heavy mortgage interest. This financial advice has never been more painfully accurate than it is right now. High interest rates and skyrocketing costs have turned the traditional American dream into a massive financial trap. Realtor.com predicts a very slow and painful recovery for the housing market this year with only a 1.7% increase in home sales. If you tie up all your available cash in a huge down payment for a physical house, you completely lose your ability to pivot. You lose your financial freedom. You become a stressed out slave to your monthly mortgage payment. You cannot take risks or start a new business because you're terrified of losing your family home. So instead of buying physical real estate, you need to be aggressively building digital real estate. A YouTube channel right here or a strong personal brand is the ultimate modern asset. You don't need to have 1 million subscribers to make $1 million. Most people falsely think that internet success is about going viral and doing silly dances with strangers. That is a total distraction from what really matters in business. You just need to build real relationships that drive your actual business forward. You can easily create a simple interview show and bring high value connections onto your platform. You invite industry leaders to share their inspiring stories with your now growing audience. Nobody else is asking these specific leaders for thoughtful interviews, so they usually say yes if they're not in high media demand. That simple video conversation quickly turns into deep trust and massive business referrals for you. We call it the Biz Dev Show. The real business game is not about internet fame at all. It's about building true leverage. When you show up consistently, your video content becomes a digital asset that works for you 24 hours a day. It generates targeted leads and steady cash flow even while you are sleeping. You completely stop trading your limited daily hours for a simple weekly paycheck, and you do not need expensive camera gear to do this. You just need your webcam, a little bit of sunlight, and the courage to ask good questions. Also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description to go grab it. I'll see you there. When you build your own digital asset, you protect yourself from the massive negative shifts happening in the modern job market. So this brings you directly to the biggest current threat to your income today. Artificial intelligence will destroy the poor dad path. The poor dad believed that going to university to get a secure corporate job was the only logical way to succeed in life. But today, that traditional secure job simply doesn't exist anymore. Artificial intelligence is completely changing the entire global labor market. Over 40% of modern companies plan to replace traditional roles with artificial intelligence this year. If your daily job involves repetitive tasks or organizing basic data, you are at a major risk of being permanently replaced. The school system spent years training you to be a compliant human robot. They taught you to memorize useless facts, follow strict instructions, and never question authority. Now, actual robots and software programs can do those exact tasks much faster and cheaper than you ever could. But this isn't a reason to panic or give up on your future. It's actually a massive opportunity and a clear reason to finally take full control of your own life. The global gig economy is booming right now. It's projected to reach over $2 trillion very soon. More than 36% of adults now have a side hustle just to survive the constantly rising cost of living. You must transition from a dependent employee to an independent entrepreneur. You need to learn how to solve complex human problems and build deep emotional connections with real people. Artificial intelligence cannot ever replace your unique personal story. It can't replace the deep pain you have gone through and the hard lessons that you've learned along the way. Your true purpose in life comes directly from your deepest pain. Whatever you struggled with the most in your past is exactly what you are meant to help other people overcome today. You are already living an impossibility to your younger self. Look at how far you've already come. When you share your authentic story online, you become completely immune to the artificial intelligence takeover. People will connect with you because you are a real human being who understands their quiet daily struggles. You offer real empathy and genuine understanding that a machine can't provide. You have a powerful message in your heart that the world desperately needs to hear. When you turn that unique message into a business, you create the ultimate digital asset. And when you own a business, you finally unlock the secret rules of money that the rich use every single day. The new tax laws punish employees and reward creators. The government tax code was written to reward people who create jobs and build the local economy. It was specifically designed to legally punish the people who take just a standard weekly salary. This was a core foundational lesson from Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad Poor Dad, and is even more aggressive and important today. A massive new tax reform called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBA, has completely changed the financial rules. This new law makes a 20% qualified business income deduction permanent for business owners. It also fully restores the 100% bonus depreciation rule for companies. What does this actually mean for your daily life? It means that if you own a business, you get massive legal tax breaks that regular employees never see. You can invest money in your business growth and write off the entire cost immediately. The system is literally begging you to become an entrepreneur and take calculated risks. Meanwhile, standard employees are getting crushed by heavy inflation while paying the absolute highest possible tax rates on their wages. The Center for American Progress noted that this new bill drives major financial gains for the rich through heavy tax breaks for business owners and investors. The rich get richer because they understand exactly how to use these laws to protect their growing wealth. Poor Dad believed that paying high taxes was his patriotic duty to society. Rich Dad believed that paying high taxes was a heavy penalty for not understanding how the financial game was actively played. You simply can't afford to operate as a standard employee anymore. Even if you start incredibly small with a simple side hustle in your bedroom, you need to form a proper business entity. You have to start forcing your money to work for you instead of giving it all away to the government. An employee earns money, pays heavy taxes on that money, and then tries to survive on whatever tiny amount is left over. A business owner earns money, spends money on their business growth, and only pays taxes on whatever is left over at the very end. You need to quickly shift your core identity from being a passive consumer to being an active creator and an owner. Momentum is your only way out of the rat race. Financial literacy is completely useless if you do not have the raw courage to take massive action. The biggest problem in the world today is that people simply do not believe in themselves enough. That's what I believe. You can read every single book on money and wealth, but absolutely nothing changes in your life until you start building your own asset. The Poor Dad mindset constantly tells you to wait until you have the perfect foolproof plan. It tells you to avoid failure and protect your ego at all costs. The Rich Dad mindset knows that failure is just how you learn and grow on your journey. You have to fully expect to suck at the beginning of anything new. When I started my YouTube channel, my first videos were absolutely terrible. I was awkward, nervous, totally unsure of what to say. It took me 350 videos until I wasn't completely embarrassed just to watch one of my videos back. It took 700 videos, public videos, before I finally started to actually inspire myself with my own words. Like, hey, I'm starting to get good at this. I didn't have the perfect studio setup or the perfect lighting rig. The only thing I had going for me was I just stayed consistent. I just kept going. I just kept making videos every single week, no matter how bad I felt. You do not need a flawless business plan to start changing your life. You just need to build momentum. The 2% difference between winners and losers is taking the very first step right now today. If you want to write a successful book, write one single page right now. If you want to start a coaching business, record one quick video explaining why you deeply want to help people. And don't compare your messy day one to somebody else's highly polished year 10. You have to carefully manage your environment to protect this. Here, your mindset. You need to put positive voices in your ear every single morning instead of watching the depressing daily news. The bold ideas that come to you when you feel courageous are the exact right ideas for you to pursue. Do not let your fear of looking stupid trap you permanently in a life that you secretly hate. Take the risk, start building your digital asset right now, and watch your entire life change for the better. The truth about your true potential. You already have everything you need inside of you right now to build massive wealth. The only thing stopping you is your own doubt and the outdated rules you were taught in school. Stop waiting for permission from other people to start chasing your own ultimate freedom. Trust your vision, take the very first step today, and never give up on your biggest dreams. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. Now let's learn the 20 laws of money to get rich. Law number 1, money follows value. Money isn't random, it's the reward for solving problems. Wealth is built not on what just excites you, but on what you create that serves others. The more value you deliver, the more dollars will chase you. It's that simple. Think of entrepreneurs like Elon Musk or Sarah Blakely. They got rich by fixing pain points for millions. You want money? Stop chasing cash and start chasing problems to solve. When you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. That's a law of the universe. Law number 2, adopt a wealth mindset, not a lottery mindset. Getting rich starts in your head. If deep down you believe money is evil or not for people like me, you'll unconsciously push it away. Newsflash, luck won't save you. 70% of lotto winners blow it, and a third end up bankrupt because they didn't change their mindset. Self-made millionaires, on the other hand, think differently. They believe they deserve success and can learn whatever skills wealth requires. So, not the excuses like, I'm not smart enough, I came from nothing, and replace that with, why not me? Train yourself to see money as a positive force, a tool you can master. Your mind is your biggest asset or liability. Choose to make it an asset. Law number 3, purpose over profit, but money in your top 5. Money itself isn't the end goal. Freedom, impact, and purpose are. I always say making money is great. It has to be in your top 5. It just can't be number 1. If you chase only dollars, you'll burn out or compromise your values. Instead, chase a mission and use money as motivation. Think of companies like Patagonia or Tesla, mission driven, but they still prioritize revenue to fund that mission. Here's the balance. Care more about your impact and your income, but respect money enough to plan for it. Money in your top 5 means you price your product right, you monetize your skills, you track your revenue, because you know profit powers your purpose. When your why is strong, the money follows, and when the money comes, you push it back into your why. That's how world-changing businesses and lives are built. Law number 4, pay yourself first. The first bill you pay each month should be to yourself. Before rent, before groceries, invest in your future. Siphon a chunk of every paycheck into savings or investments immediately. This habit needs to become a non-negotiable. Why? Because wealth doesn't come from what you make, it comes from what you keep and grow. It's the classic millionaire habit. Nearly half of self-made millionaires save 20% or more of their income from day one. That requires discipline and delayed gratification, skipping some short-term treats so future you can win. Psychology proves this. The famed marshmallow test showed that kids who delayed gratification ended up more successful in life. The same goes for money. So automate your savings. Treat it like a tax that you owe yourself. If you can't pay yourself, you'll always be paying someone else. Law number 5, live below your means. I know this sounds basic, but it's amazing how many people ignore it. Don't spend all you earn, and definitely don't spend more than you earn. Hello, credit cards. The rich stay rich by living like they're broke. The broke stay broke by acting rich. Studies of millionaires show they're frugal. 64% live in modest homes, 55% buy used cars, nearly all of them vacation cheaply, and 84% refuse to gamble with their money. They aren't clipping coupons for fun. They just know that every dollar wasted is a dollar that can't work for them. So yes, reward yourself occasionally, but don't inflate your lifestyle with your income. Grow into your wealth. Don't blow it. As your earnings climb, keep your expenses in check. This creates a gap, the golden gap, that you can invest to generate real wealth. Law number 6, avoid bad debt. Leverage the good debt. There are 2 kinds of people, those who pay interest and those who earn interest. To get rich, you want to be the second kind. Credit card balances, payday loans, buying a Ferrari on finance, that's bad debt. It will chain you down. The average credit card interest will eat your future alive. So here's your rule. Never borrow to buy depreciating crap. Use debt only when it's a tool to acquire an asset that pays you back. In simple terms, an asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes money out of your pocket. Your home, for example, can be a liability if it's draining cash. Meanwhile, a rental property or a business loan can be good debt if managed well because they generate income. The rich strategically use other people's money to multiply their wealth, but they respect the risks and have a plan to pay it off. Be very real with yourself. If the thing you want to buy won't earn or save you money, don't go into debt for it. Law number 7, let compound interest work. Start investing now. Time is your greatest ally or your worst enemy in building wealth. Every day you delay investing is cash left on the table. Why? Compound interest, the snowball effect of money earning on top of itself. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it. So here's a quick example. If you invest $1,000 at 10%, you'll earn $100 a year. Not bad. But if you reinvest at $100 next year, you earn 10% on $1,100, not just $1,000. That's $110. And now you have $1,210. Keep rolling that over, and in 10 years, that $1,000 turns into nearly $2,600 without adding a penny. All from reinvesting on compounding. Start earning, and it's like planting an orchard instead of a single tree. Don't wait for enough money to invest. Even $50 a month invested now beats $500 a month started 10 years later. Small seeds become giant oaks, but you must plant them now. Law number 8, create multiple streams of income. One stream of income is one point of failure. If that stream dries up, job loss, one client leaves, industry shifts, your financial life sinks. The wealthy know this, so they build boats with multiple engines. It's often said the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. And while your number may vary, the idea is diversification. It could be a side hustle, investments, rental incomes, royalties, a second business, you name it. In one study, 65% of millionaires had at least 3 income streams, and nearly a third had 5 or more. So start with one strong income. This is where most people get it wrong when they're thinking have multiple streams of income. You don't have 7 all from the beginning, because then you will diversify your energy out of any real wealth. So you start with one strong income, master it, and then add another. Each new stream is a layer of security and a force multiplier for your wealth. Importantly, build active income, so business, career, and passive incomes, which is investments and assets. Do them together. Don't rely on a single paycheck or a single customer. Spread your bets and create income while you sleep. Law number 9, make money while you sleep. That's passive income. If you earn only money when you're personally working, you'll never escape the grind. You need income that doesn't require your constant presence. Warren Buffett said it best: if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And that's not hyperbole, that's reality. Passive income can come from investments like stocks, index funds that pay dividends, rental properties, or from systems that you create, a business that runs without you, or online products or royalties from a product. It usually takes hard work up front to set up these passive streams, so don't think it's free money. But once they're running, they free up your time. Even having a little extra cash trickle in every month gives you breathing room. So imagine waking up to find you earned $100 overnight. Now imagine $1,000 or $10,000. The goal is to decouple your time from your money. Start building something today that pays you tomorrow, next week, next year. That's real financial freedom. Law number 10, never stop learning. The moment you think you know it all, your bank account will prove you wrong. The wealthy are students of wealth, constantly reading, attending seminars, picking up new skills. 88% of rich people devote at least 30 minutes a day to learning through reading. They read biographies, business books, industry news, not gossip, not junk. They treat their mind as $1 million asset that compounds just like money. If you want to get rich, adopt a growth mindset. Invest in courses, find mentors, seek feedback. My core philosophy is believe. Believe that you can learn and improve. And I try to live this. In the early days, I studied Bill Gates and other successful people to model their strategies. And that learning led directly to my big breakthrough. So ask yourself daily, what can I learn today that will make me more valuable tomorrow? Every new skill or insight is money in the bank, just a bank you can't see yet. Stay curious and humble. The more you learn, the more you earn. Law number 11, your network is your net worth. You can't do it alone, and you shouldn't try. The people you surround yourself with will make or break your success. Jim Rohn famously said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take a look around. If your 5 closest friends are broke, negative, and complacent, guess where you're headed? Successful people consciously build success circles. They hang out with other winners. One study found the rich intentionally seek optimistic, goal-oriented peers. Why? Because environment matters. Conversations with high achievers will spark ideas, opportunities, and higher standards in you. On the other side, toxic, pessimistic people will drag you down to their level. This doesn't mean cut off loved ones. It means spend time strategically. Find mentors who've achieved what you want. Join entrepreneur groups, mastermind calls, online communities of goal-getters. Upgrade your network and you'll upgrade your net worth. It's practically automatic. Remember, birds of a feather flock to the bank together. Law number 12.
Don't do it alone. Ask for help and mentorship. So pride and secrecy keep people poor. I learned this the hard way. In my startup days, I was making $300 a month and was too embarrassed to tell anyone how much I was struggling. I thought I had to fake success or go solo, and it nearly broke me. The truth is, successful people ask for help all the time. They hire coaches, they seek mentors, they gather teams of advisors. Ego can be expensive. If you're too proud to admit what you don't know, you will cap your growth. In fact, 82% of small businesses fail due to cash flow problems, often because the founder didn't seek financial advice or delegate when they should have. So don't let that be you. Find someone who has been where you want to go and learn from them. And if you're in a crisis, reach out instead of suffering in silence. Don't do it alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's too devastatingly lonely. The right help at the right time can save your business and your sanity. Success is a team sport, so play it that way. Law number 13, reinvest your profits. So when money does start coming in, it's tempting to celebrate. I made it, let's spend. But the wealthy think differently. They plow money back into growth. Warren Buffett insists on this. When you first make money, you may be tempted to spend it. Don't. Instead, reinvest the profits. Whether it's profits from your business or returns from stocks, feed it back into your wealth machine. This is how small ventures become empires. I did this with my first company. When we landed our first deal, I didn't go buy a car. I poured in the scale in the business, which later allowed me to sell and truly cash in. Reinvesting is how Buffett turned a pinball machine side hustle into a stock portfolio. Each round of profits bought more assets, which produced even more profit. It's a cycle. Earn, invest, earn more. On the flip side, if you spend all you make, you kill the compound growth and go back to zero. So celebrate your wins, yes, but then put that money back to work. Delay the gratification a little longer and watch your wealth snowball. Law number 14, take calculated risks and embrace failure. No risk, no reward. It's a cliche, but it's true. Getting rich will require you to step out of your comfort zone. So start that business, invest in that property, pitch that big client, even when there's no guarantee of success. In fact, you will screw up along the way, and that is okay. 63% of millionaires admit they took risk and failed at least once in business. But here's the difference. They didn't see failure as the end. It was just data. They learned and kept moving. As the saying goes, winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are. Failure is part of the process of success. People who avoid failure also avoid success. And that was one of the hardest lessons for me. I was afraid to look stupid, to ask dumb questions, to lose money on a strategy that might not work. But every failure, eating beans for lunch for years, failed product launches, interviews that tanked, it taught me something that eventually led to a huge win. So don't be reckless. Do your homework and take calculated risks. But when you feel fear, don't let it stop you. Often that fear is a sign that you're on the right track. Bet on yourself, and if you fall, get back up smarter. Law number 15, be patient. Wealth takes time. We live in a world of instant gratification, but building real wealth is a long game. Too many people try one thing for 6 months, don't become millionaires, and then quit or jump onto the next fad. Don't fall for the get-rich-quick trap. The truth is, most millionaires get rich slowly. In one study, 80% of millionaires were over 50. It took them decades of consistent effort to hit 7 figures. Saver investors took an average of 32 years to reach millionaire status. Even fast-track entrepreneurs took 12 years on average. The media loves to highlight the 22-year-old crypto billionaires, but that's the exception, not the rule. Embrace the process. Commit to the long haul. This doesn't mean it has to take 30 years for you. The timeline can accelerate with smart decisions, but it won't happen overnight. Set longer-term goals and keep grinding. Remember, compound interest needs time to work its magic. That's law number 7. Each year you persist, your knowledge, your network, and your assets compound too. Patience isn't just a virtue in wealth building, it's a strategic advantage. Law number 16, leverage. Multiply yourself through others. Here's a harsh truth. You will never get truly wealthy trading only your own time and effort. There are only 24 hours in a day and only one of you. The rich scale up by leveraging other people's time, their talent, their resources. That means hiring, delegating, automating, building a team and systems that make money even when you're not personally doing the work. So I learned this in running my YouTube channel. For years, I was in front of the camera, I was behind the camera, I was doing everything myself, and I was hesitant to spend money on help. I grew up without a ton of money, and maybe I was too cheap at first, but once I hired my first part-time editor, boom, I went from 1 video a week to 1 a day, which then brought in more money. Leverage. Similarly in business, the moment I started bringing in partners and employees who are smarter than me in their areas, our growth started to explode. According to research, over 80% of millionaires rely on a team of smart people, attorneys, accountants, advisors, to help achieve their vision. So ask yourself, what tasks or expertise can you leverage from others to scale up? It could be as simple as hiring a virtual assistant for $10 an hour to free you up to make $100 an hour, or partnering with someone who has skills or contacts that you lack. Yes, it can cost money to hire good people, but not hiring when you need to is far costlier. Build your dream team. Law number 17, take action. Speed beats perfection. The money goes to those who do, not those who wait. One thing I see holding entrepreneurs back is analysis paralysis. They plan and polish and procrastinate, and opportunities pass them by. The wealthy have a bias for action. They do the best research they can, then pull the trigger. Jeff Bezos calls it the bias for action and credits much of Amazon's success to it. Warren Buffett calls unnecessary waiting thumb-sucking and pushes himself to make decisions swiftly when he has enough facts. The point is, you can't steer a parked car. You have to start moving. Want to invest in stocks? Open the account and put in a small amount today. Learn as you go. Have a business idea? Launch a simple version of it right now, even if it's not perfect. You will refine through real-world feedback. Money loves speed, not reckless, stupid speed, but the momentum that comes from decisive action. Action precedes clarity. So the law is, do it before you feel 100% ready. An average plan executed today beats a perfect plan never executed. Start, stumble, learn, adjust, but start. Law number 18, know your numbers, track your money. You wouldn't drive a car blindfolded, right? So don't drive your finances that way too. Ignorance is extremely expensive. Wealthy people are keenly aware of their numbers. They know their income, their expenses, their profit margins, their tax liabilities, the investment returns, at least the key figures at all times. You need to become the CFO of your own life. You make a budget, update it regularly, and review where your money is going. You can use apps or spreadsheets, chalk on a board, whatever works for you, but track it. If you're an entrepreneur, this is even more critical because poor cash flow management kills 82% of small businesses. When I started, I used Microsoft Money software to track my business finances, and my early accounting was a total disaster until I learned how to prioritize it. And once I did, I found ways to save on taxes and get unexpected refunds that boosted my cash flow. That's the reward for paying attention. The law here is what gets measured gets managed. When you track, you naturally start optimizing. You spot wasteful spending. You find opportunities to save or invest, and you avoid nasty surprises. So open those bank statements, know your credit score, set a weekly date with your money. Yes, I'm serious. Your bank account should never be a mystery. Law number 19, give and you shall receive. This might sound more spiritual, but it's hard-nosed success strategy too. Generosity breeds prosperity. The wealthiest people I know are givers. They donate to charities. They mentor others. They create opportunities for the people that are around them. Why? Because what you put out into the world comes back to you multiplied. Zig Ziglar said it best. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And it's true. When you operate from a mindset of service and generosity, you build an army of allies. People open doors for you. Clients refer to you. Your reputation starts to shine. Even on a practical level, generosity expands your network and skills. So volunteer in an organization and meet influential people. Mentor someone and you often learn from the teaching. Also, giving keeps you humble and hungry. It reminds you that wealth has a purpose to improve lives, including your own. And here's a little secret. Giving money away can actually make you feel wealthier. It breaks the fear that money is scarce. Of course, be smart. Don't give beyond your means, but make generosity a line item in your life. It could be money or time or knowledge. Nearly 3 of 4 millionaires in a study volunteered at least 5 hours a month, and many actively mentored others. Coincidence? I don't think so. The more you give, the more you grow. It's a law. And law number 20, stay humble and stay hungry. Money is a moving target. The game doesn't end when you hit some magic number. To not only get rich, but to stay rich, you must keep your ego in check and your drive alive. Success can be a sedative the moment you think, I've made it. You start to slip. Remember Bill Gates' warning, success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. So don't fall for that trap. The greats, the Buffetts, the Oprahs, they never stop learning. They never stop pushing. They act like beginners even when they are masters. For me, the belief game never ends. Despite all the subscribers and the business, I still wake up as a student. I still want to get better every day. So celebrate your wins, yes, but stay curious and grounded. Keep setting the next goal, setting the next challenge. And importantly, stay grateful. Humility also means recognizing the role that others have played and some luck in your success. It keeps you from doing something dumb and losing it all out of arrogance. The hungry, humble entrepreneur will run circles around the complacent one who's resting on his laurels. Money has a way of disappearing from those who take it for granted. So no matter how well you're doing, adhere to these laws. Keep growing, keep giving, and keep believing. A quick final thought. You've just learned 20 laws, but knowledge alone won't change your life. Action will. Pick one law today and start living it. Maybe it's setting up that savings account. Maybe it's calling that mentor. Maybe it's finally launching that product. Remember, every big success is just an accumulation of small, consistent wins. You showing up for this, absorbing these strategies, that already sets you apart from the masses who are still looking for easy answers. And so I want to acknowledge you for being here right now and investing in yourself. Now get out there and do the work. Apply these laws and build the wealth and life that you deserve.
Now let's learn the 6 habits that made Steve Jobs an unstoppable entrepreneur. Habits make or break you as an entrepreneur. Too many brilliant people never reach their potential because they never build the habits to match their ambition. If you ignore this, you'll keep struggling and start to wonder if you were ever meant to be an entrepreneur at all. Steve Jobs was 30 when Apple, the company he co-founded, fired him. He said it was devastating. The focus of his entire life was gone and he felt like a public failure. He could have given up for good, but he didn't. Instead, he started a new company called Next and helped launch Pixar, turning that humiliating defeat into an epic comeback. A decade later, Apple begged him to return, and Steve led one of the greatest business turnarounds ever. Yet, in that dark moment, Jobs felt the same crushing doubt that you feel when everything falls apart. He felt betrayed, humiliated, like maybe he had never had it after all. But here's the difference. He didn't accept that feeling as the end of his story. I remember hitting my own breaking point as a young entrepreneur. I spent 9 months on my first business plan, making only $300 a month and eating cheap bean salad every day. Frustration started to pile up until I finally snapped. I called my business partner and I said, I quit. Then I hung up the phone and I cried harder than I ever had. I felt like a worthless failure. For the first time in my life, I saw myself as a quitter and it broke me. But the next morning I woke up with a new kind of pain, regret. I realized that the pain of giving up would be worse than the pain of pushing forward. So I swallowed my pride and I told my partner I wanted back in. I knew I had to change something, so I studied how Bill Gates built Microsoft and borrowed one of his strategies. And a few weeks later, we closed a $13,500 deal, which was the first real victory of my business life. With that momentum, we grew the company and eventually sold it. But none of that would have happened if I had stayed down and never gotten back up. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great, but I'm not Steve Jobs, I'm not a genius or celebrity CEO. Or maybe you're thinking, Evan, hey, good for you, but you had a partner and the lucky break. I'm still struggling here. I hear you. And here's what you need to know. Steve Jobs wasn't a born legend. He started out as a college dropout with no money, sleeping on friends' floors and scrounging for meals. And I was a kid with no experience just trying to figure it out. Steve wasn't born unstoppable and neither was I. It was built step by step through habits, the same ones that you can start building today. If we could do it, so can you. So let's get into the 6 habits that made Steve Jobs an unstoppable entrepreneur and how you can make them yours. Habit number 1, do what you love. Steve Jobs was obsessed with doing work he loved. He once said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Why? Because passion fuels perseverance. When life hit him with failure, getting fired, products flopping, his love for the mission kept him going. Jobs admitted, the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. If you don't truly love your work, you'll quit when it gets hard. It's that simple. Passion isn't just a feeling, it's a practical tool. When you care about the outcome, you'll work longer, you'll fight harder, you'll refuse to quit because it matters more to you. And passion is contagious. Steve's excitement ignited his team at Apple with a deep passion for creating groundbreaking products. So ask yourself, are you doing work that makes you come alive? And if not, find a way to get closer to it, even if it means taking on a job on the side until you figure out what you truly love. Because when you love what you do, nothing can stop you from doing it. Habit number 2, have a bold vision. Unstoppable entrepreneurs have a vision so big it keeps them moving forward. Steve Jobs wasn't just making computers, he wanted to change the world. He believed in dreaming big, or as he put it, put a dent in the universe. When he recruited Pepsi executive John Scully, Jobs challenged him with a single question. Do you want to spend your life selling sugar water, or do you want a chance to change the world? That vision became magnetic. It attracted employees, attracted partners, and rallied
customers. A bold vision gives your work more meaning. It turns your business into a mission. So when you have a massive why, the how can bend to your will. Setbacks become lessons. Roadblocks become hurdles that you figure out how to jump over. And as the saying goes, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. Your vision should be so clear and powerful that it pulls you through the tough days. Now, maybe you want to empower 1 million people with your product. Maybe you aim to redefine an industry. Whatever it is, make it specific and make it matter to you. Steve Jobs had the audacity to say he would change the world, and then he did. What is your dent in the universe? Get clear on it, and you'll find a more powerful drive to make it happen. Habit number 3, stay curious and keep learning. Steve Jobs made a habit of exploring beyond his comfort zone. After he dropped out of college, he dropped in on classes that intrigued him, like calligraphy, for no other reason than it fascinated him. Now, at the time, it had no practical use in his career, none. But 10 years later, those calligraphy lessons helped Apple build the Macintosh with beautiful fonts and typography that no other computer had. Jobs later said that creativity is just connecting things. And you can only connect more things if you learn more things. By traveling, studying art and design, experimenting with new ideas, he kept his mind sharp and his creativity charged. So unstoppable entrepreneurs never think they know it all. They're students of life. They read, they ask questions, they tinker with new skills, always gathering new dots to connect down the road. And science backs us up. Research shows that people with a broad range of experiences and knowledge are more innovative because they can see patterns and solutions that others miss. So, take that course that interests you, even if it's outside your field. Meet people with completely different backgrounds. Try hobbies that make you a beginner again. Every time you stretch yourself to learn something new, you're investing in future innovation for yourself. Steve Jobs' curiosity led to ideas that changed technology and entertainment. Yours can do the same for whatever you're working on if you stay curious and keep learning. Habit number 4, focus on what matters. Say no to 1,000 things. Being unstoppable isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things and ignoring the rest. Steve Jobs was ruthless about focus. When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company was spread too thin with around 350 products in development. Jobs cut it down to 10 core products so his best teams could pour their energy into each one. He was as proud of what Apple didn't do as what it did. In fact, he once gave Google's Larry Page this advice: decide on the 5 products that matter most and get rid of the rest. They're dragging you down. Focus requires saying no a lot. As an entrepreneur, every day brings new ideas, opportunities, and distractions. If you try to chase them all, you'll catch none. Stanford researchers found that people who multitask heavily and split their attention end up less effective at everything. When you spread yourself thin, you make shallow progress. When you concentrate on a few priorities, you make deep progress. So figure out what moves the needle for your business or your goal and commit to that. Cut everything else. Cancel the project that's going nowhere. Say no to the clients who aren't the right fit. Protect your time and focus like your life depends on it, because your dream does. Steve Jobs focused Apple's efforts on a handful of products that revolutionized the company. What could you revolutionize if you stopped dividing your attention? Habit number 5, embrace failure and persist. Every entrepreneur gets knocked down. The great ones keep getting back up. Steve Jobs understood that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. When Apple kicked him out, it was the worst moment of his life, and it set the stage for his greatest achievement ever. He later admitted, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me because it freed him to think creatively again. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it," he said about that failure. In other words, sometimes life kicks you hard to move you forward. Steve didn't lose faith when life hit him with a brick. He kept going. The only way you lose for good is if you give up. Jobs put it bluntly, if you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of not learning from it. According to Harvard research, successful entrepreneurs see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow. Each setback teaches you what not to do the next time. Each mistake brings you one step closer to the solution if you're willing to adapt and try again. So think of failure like a test. It shows you what doesn't work so you can focus on what might. When things go wrong, and they will, take a breath, extract the lesson, and get back in the game. Persistence is a habit. Every time you choose not to quit, you strengthen that persistence muscle. Steve Jobs persevered through failure and it made him stronger. It can do the same for you. And habit number 6, ask for help and build a great team. The myth of the lone genius is just that. It's a myth. Even Steve Jobs didn't build Apple by himself, and you don't have to go it alone either. One of Jobs' most powerful habits was his willingness to ask for help and surround himself with brilliant people. At 12 years old, he boldly called out Bill Hewlett, who was the co-founder of Hewlett-Packard, just to ask for some spare parts for an electronics project he was working on. Hewlett was so impressed by the kid's initiative that he gave Steve the parts and a summer job. As Jobs later recalled, most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates the people who do things from the people who just dream about them. The habit of asking continued throughout his career. When Apple was developing the iPhone, Steve realized the screen was scratching way too easily. He didn't have the solution, so he reached out and asked. He called Wendell Weeks, the CEO of Corning Glass, and described the problem, asking for the toughest glass they had. Corning had something called Gorilla Glass sitting on the shelf, a technology from the 1960s that had never been used in consumer products. Because Steve asked, Corning brought it to life, and that ultra-strong glass became the iPhone screen. So the lesson here is don't let pride or fear stop you from getting help. Steve also knew that a great team beats a great individual. He hired people who were insanely talented and let them shine. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do, he said. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Your job is not to have all the answers. It's to recognize and recruit others who have pieces of the puzzle that you need. So find mentors who've walked your path and ask them questions. Partner with people who complement your strengths. Hire team members who are better than you at specific tasks. If you try to do it all alone, you will hit a ceiling. Maybe you're there right now. But if you build a network of support, you will explode through your limits. Being unstoppable doesn't mean never needing anyone. It means having the confidence to admit when you do need help and the wisdom to seek it out. Keep moving forward. Okay, you've just learned the habits that made Steve Jobs unstoppable. Now ask yourself, what will you do with them? It won't be easy. You'll face resistance, doubt, and days when nothing seems to work. But you're still here, learning and working on your dream, and that already sets you apart.
To unlock your why and rebuild your mindset, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You will never reach your potential without knowing your why. For an entrepreneur, having no purpose is like driving with no destination. You end up running in circles or off a cliff. If you keep going without a why, you'll burn out or quit as soon as things get hard